टॉपिक संविधान का. The Indian constitution is unique in its context and spirit. They, though borrowed from almost every constitution of the world, the Constitution of India have several salient features that distinguish it from the constitutions of other countries. It should be noted that at the outset that a number of original features of the constitution as adopted in 1949 have undergone a substantial change on account of several amendments, particularly 7th Amendment, 42nd Amendment, 44th Amendment, 73rd Amendment, 74th Amendment, 97th Amendment. In fact, the 42nd Amendment Act 1976, known as the Mini Constitution, due to the important and large number of changes made by it in various parts of the Constitution. So why we call 42nd Amendment as the Mini Constitution? Because it changed a lot in the Constitution, in many parts of the Constitution. So that's why it is called as the Mini Constitution, 42nd Amendment. So the original Constitution has undergone various kinds of changes through amendment processes by the Parliament under Article 368 of the Constitution of India. Out of these amendments, 42nd Amendment, that is the Mini Constitution, that is amendment which is conducted in 1976, shall be termed as Mini Constitution. A Mini Constitution due to the important and large number of changes made by it in various parts of the Constitution. However, in the Keshavanand Bharati case, which was held in 1973, the Supreme Court ruled that the Constituent Parliament of power of Parliament under Article 368 does not able it to alter the basic structure of the Constitution. So what has been observed in the Keshavanand Bharati case, which was held in 1973, it was observed that Parliament has the power to alter the Constitution of India under Article 368, but it has some exceptions. So what are those exceptions? It cannot alter the basic structure of the Constitution, which is propounded by that case also, or other rulings also. So whatever be the basic structure, Parliament has no power to alter the basic structure of the Constitution. Otherwise, they can alter anything, but not basic structure. Salient feature of the Constitution. The salient feature of the Constitution as it stands today are as follows. It is the lengthiest written Constitution. Constitution is classified into written like the American Constitution, or unwritten like the British Constitution. The Constitution of India is the lengthiest of all the written constitution of the world. It is a very comprehensive, elaborate and detailed document, originally in 1949. The Constitution contained a preamble, 395 articles divided into 22 parts and 8 schedules. Presently 2016, it consists of a preamble. Presently 2016, the book says it is presently 2016. That means it is old edition. It is a very, I think edition is very old. It's 5th edition book. That's why presently it is saying 2016. But we are in 2024. So, but still it will help you. It has some information which is relevant. It is, most of the information are relevant, but certain amendments or certain new addition or amendments in the Constitution has not been included in this book. But you will get the static part. So Constitution can be classified into two types, that is written, that is the example of written Constitution is American Constitution, and it can be the other type of Constitution is unwritten like British Constitution. But out of the written Constitution of the India of the world, India has the longest and the lengthiest written Constitution. It has very comprehensive, elaborate and detailed document. Originally, if we talk about 1949, it has a preamble. It had 395 articles, which was divided into 22 parts and 8 schedules. But it had undergone various kinds of amendments, which I have already mentioned in previous videos, that about 465 articles has been added. 45 in 2016. Around it consists of 465 articles divided into 25 parts and 12 schedules. The various amendments carried out since 1951 have deleted about 20 articles and one part 7, and added about 90 articles. If we talk about the amendments, so what we got and what we waived out, what we erased from the constitution, what we deleted, 20 articles has been deleted and we added 90 articles in the constitution of the India. So incorporated 90 articles and deleted 20 articles. Okay? And we deleted also part 7 also. 4 parts. Part 4A, part 9A, part 9B, part 14A, and 4 schedules 9, 10, 11, 12. So added 90 articles and we added 4 parts also. That is 4A, 9A, 9A, 9B, 9A, 9B, 4A, 9A, 9B, 4A, 9A, 9B, 4A, 9A, 9B, 4A, 9A, 9B. Then 14A, 9A, 9B, 14A, 4A, 9A, 9B, then 14A. For a 9A, 9B, 14A. So these we have added 4 parts and 4 schedules also added in the Constitution of India, 9, 10, 11, 12. No other constitution in the world has so many articles and schedules which India has. 4 factors have contributed to the elephantine size of our constitution. They are geographical factors, that is the vastness of the country and its diversity. So why our constitution has the lengthiest, why our India has the lengthiest constitution? What are the reasons behind that? So first reason is geographical factor, because our country is so vast and we have diversity in our country, diverse culture, diversity of culture, diversity of religion, diversity of various types of people, their practices. They need various types of provisions in order to administer them. So that's why the first factor was geographical factor, and it also continued till now. Historical factors, example, the influence of the Government of India Act of 1935, which was bulky, because already when British administered us with the help of the Government of India Act of 1935, they made bulky act. Already because of the presence of the bulky act of Government of India Act of 1935, we borrowed from that act only. That's why it is one of the other reason why constitution is bulky. Constitution became bulky. Okay. Third factor is single constitution for both the center and state except Jammu and Kashmir, because the book is old. So it doesn't describe about abrogation of Article 370 from the Constitution of India and incorporation of Jammu and Kashmir, and incorporation and discarding the after discarding Article 371, all the acts which we have applied rest of the India except Jammu and Kashmir has also been applied to Jammu and Kashmir, like IPC, CRPC, whatever we always, whenever we read the introduction part, we always used to know that the act only applies to India except Jammu and Kashmir. We always used to read that sentence, but after abrogation of 371, it also applies to Jammu and Kashmir. Okay. So single constitution was there. Single constitution, we have to, the framers or the legislator of the free India their task is to administer India, both center and 28 states. So that's why different types of people residing in different states with different languages, with different cultures, with so many diversity and vast number of geographical area, vast number of huge population. So that's why the reason is that these are the reasons for the elephantine size of our constitution. So dominance of legal luminaries in the Constituent Assembly. We already discussed in the earlier video about the criticism of the Constituent Assembly, that people used to criticize Constituent Assembly because of the presence of the lawyers and politicians, dominance of the politician, because constitution made by them, by the lawyers, became very intricate, constitution became very complicated because of the presence of the legal members, legal fraternity members. But it is also beneficial for the country, but it is also a criticism. So it is also the one of the reason that legal luminaries dominated the constitution. So it is the reason why our constitution became so elephantine. Constitution contained not only the fundamental principle of governance but also detailed administrative provisions. So governance के fundamental principles से नहीं बल्कि administrative provisions भी हैं. Further, those matters which in other modern democratic countries have been left in the ordinary legislation or established political conventions also have been included in the constitution document itself in India. So whatever other countries mention in ordinary legislation, those parts also been included in the constitution. So that is the reason, that was the reason for becoming so bulky for the Constitution of India, drawn from various sources. Constitution of India has borrowed from most of its provisions from the constitution of various other countries as well as from the Government of India Act of 1935. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar proudly acclaimed that the Constitution of India has been framed after ransacking all the non-constitution of the world. The structural part of the constitution is to a larger extent derived from the Government of India Act of 1935. The philosophical part of the constitution, the fundamental rights, the directive principles of state policy, derived from its inspiration from American and Irish constitution respectively. So DPSP from Irish constitution, fundamental rights from American constitution, financial emergency from German constitution, Germany, fundamental duties from Russian constitution. The political part of the constitution, the principle of cabinet government and the relation between the executive and legislature has been largely drawn from the British constitution. So the political part, so what is the political part? The principle of cabinet government. On what principle cabinet government will be formed? Relations. What will be the relation between the executive and legislature? Do executive would be responsible to the legislature? So this kind of relations has been borrowed from the British constitution. So it is the borrowing from different constitution of the world. The other provisions of the constitution have been drawn from the constitution of Canada, Australia, Germany, USSR, France, South Africa, Japan and so on. The most profound influence and material source of the constitution is the Government of India Act 1935. So what is the most profound and material source of the constitution? It is the Government of India Act 1935. The federal scheme, judiciary, governors, emergency powers, Public Service Commission and most of the administrative details are drawn from this act. More than half of the provision of the constitutions are identical to and bear a close resemblance to the Act of 1935. Blend of rigidity and flexibility. Constitutions are also classified into rigid and flexible. It is the mixture of rigidity and flexibility. It is not too rigid, it is not too flexible, it is a mixture. It is a balance between the rigidity and flexibility. A rigid constitution is one that requires a special procedure for its amendment. For example, the American Constitution. The example of rigid constitution is American Constitution. So what in case of rigid constitution, what happens that you need special provision in order to amend the constitution of that country. A flexible constitution on the other hand is that one can amend in the same manner as the ordinary law are made, as for example the British Constitution. So you can amend it like an ordinary law has been, you are making like an ordinary act. If you are making in the same process like you are making ordinary act, you can amend very easily. That is the example of flexible constitution, which is British Constitution. The Constitution of India is neither rigid nor flexible but a synthesis of both. Article 368 provides for the two types of amendments. Some provision can be amended by special majority of the parliament, that is 2/3 majority of the members of each house present and voting. That means each house present and voting. Like if the strength is different, but presence is different. We are concerned about the present members, how much members are present. On that number, we have to calculate two third, but that means 3 भाग का 2 भाग, out 3 parts. If you divide the total number present and voting into 3 parts, you need to get the majority of 2 part out of 3 part, 2 part out of 3 part, in order to pass special provisions, in order to give effect to these provisions which needs special majority. So special majority can be effected if 2/3 majority of the members of each house present and voting gave you consent, and a majority that is more than 50% of total membership of each house, and that majority must be more than 50%. That means if any day the total strength, if any day members has been present which is less than the total strength, well, less than 50% of the total strength of the house, then on that day you cannot calculate 2/3 majority. If you calculate 2/3 majority, that majority will not be significant, because 2/3 majority must be greater than the 50% of the total membership of each house. Some other provision can be amended by a special majority of the parliament and with the ratification by half of the total states. There must be ratification by half of the total states. Total states, that means 28 states, half 15. You need more than 14, that means 15, 16. 15 or 16 states must ratify that. Some provisions can be amended by special majority must be there, but apart from getting the special majority, you need ratification by half of the total states. With half of this total states, that is 14, not more than half of. It is half of the total states. At the same time, some provision of the constitution can be amended by simple majority of the parliament in the manner of ordinary legislative process. Notably, these amendments do not come under Article 368. But there are processes where constitution can be amended, like a simple legislature has been enacted. So, but these processes does not come under the purview of the Article 368. So we found that by this discussion there are provisions which are special in nature, and there are also provisions of amendment which are ordinary in nature. So we can say that Constitution of India has a blend of rigidity and flexibility. So there are some provisions which is very rigid to alter, and there are some provisions which are very easy to alter. So it balances both of it. Federal system with unitary bias. The Constitution of India establishes a federal system of government. It contains all the usual features of the federation, that is two government, division of power, division of power, separation of power between union and states, and constitution, written constitution, supremacy of constitution, rigidity of constitution, independent judiciary is independent, and bicameralism. However, the Indian constitution also contains a large number of unitary or non-federal features, that is strong center. At the time of emergency, nation takes the central tendency, nation takes central and unitary tendency. The Indian constitution also contains a large number of unitary and non-federal features like strong centers, single citizenship, flexibility of constitution, integrated judiciary, appointment of state governors by the center, state governor who appoints state governor by the center. That means center has upper hand. All India services, emergency provisions and so on. All India services, UPSC. If you see the structure of UPSC selection and appointment system, we get to know that a person from a state of, let's say, Assam, if he got selected in the UPSC, he will be posted in different states. He may not be posted in Assam only. So by this we can understand that in order to administer different states and to and to maintain the supremacy of the unitary of the centralized tendency, these kind of institution, UPSC and emergency provisions, appointment of governor by the center, these provisions plays a very pivotal role, and we can say that constitution has a centralizing tendency in spite of having federal feature distribution of power. Moreover, the term federation has nowhere been used in the constitution. Article 1 on the other hand describes India as a union of states, which implies two things. One, Indian federation is not the result of an agreement by states, and two, no state has the right to secede from the federation. Yeah, you can say that federation has not been mentioned explicitly in any part of the constitution of India, but yet in article 1 on the other hand it describes that India is a union of states, and it implies two things. What it implies? Two things. One, Indian federation is not a result of an agreement. It is not formed by the agreement, by any kind of agreement, by enforcing any kind of agreement by the states. Two, no state has the right to secede from the federation. That means we are maintaining integrity clause. I mean, in the preamble of the constitution, we write that integrity word. Integrity, that means akhandita. No one can conspire to disintegrate India, or a state has no right to secede from the Indian federation. Hence, the Indian constitution has been variously described as the federal in form but unitary in spirit. Form is federal, but spirit is unitary. Quasi-federal, you can say, by K.C. Weary. Bargaining federalism by Maurice Jones. Cooperative federalism by Grenville Austin. Federation with a centralizing tendency by Ivor Jennings, and so on. So these are the three features. If you find it very useful, please like, share, subscribe.